Hi, my name is Elizabeth McPherson, and this is my personal goals and introduction video for my ePortfolio. A little bit about myself. I am a military spouse, so I currently reside in Fort Riley, Kansas. Here, we live on the post. I teach at Junction City Middle School. So, military is a big part of my life. I have been married for 10 years, and I have a 6-year-old daughter who is in first grade. My friends and family are a big part of who I am. So I have been teaching this is my 11th year in the classroom. Again, it's just kind of also my colleagues and seeing kids be successful just makes up a big part of who I am as a person. So some of the things that I love are caffeine. You can see a picture there of me with caffeine. I'm a big coffee drinker. I love baking and eating donuts, and those are my favorite pair of donut socks. I am an avid runner, so I run several half marathons a year. COVID has put a little wrench in that, but I do enjoy running. And there is my daughter sitting on a little Home Depot cart. We are a big DIY family, so we like to build and do projects as much as we can. So, a little bit about my background. So, I have a bachelor's of arts in mathematics. I got my math degree. I quickly kind of learned that pure mathematics maybe wasn't so much my interest, so I went back and got my teaching license in secondary education. So that's kind of where I started in math. I then went and got my master's in special education so I could teach special education. And from there, now I'm at Fort Hays working on this administration license. So I started my career at a small Christian school in Minnesota, Christian Heritage Academy. I was their 4th through 8th grade math teacher. And as I was getting my special education degree, I became their special education coordinator. From there, I got a job at Academy of Whole Learning, which is a school for students on the autism spectrum or with related disabilities. And so I had 9 high schoolers all day, every day in a self contained kind of classroom working on life skills, math, science, English, all that kind of jazz. But then I also got to serve as their STEM and math specialist. So I helped the other lower grades and things do their math. And I really grew in my knowledge of special education at that point specifically. So when my husband was relocated to Florida, we moved to Florida. Unfortunately, at that time, Florida would not accept my Minnesota teaching license, and so I ended up back in mathematics because that's the degree that they would accept. So I ended up teaching high school math, Algebra 2, Pre-Calc, and AP Calculus. This was a big shift for my special ed kids, but I learned a ton about kind of higher level mathematics, about higher level high school courses, teaching AP courses. It was a really great learning curve for me in that respect. I got to serve as the mathematics department head there, so I kind of got my first real taste of significant leadership in a big school district, and so that was a really big learning and growing experience for me as well. So now I am in Kansas. I am teaching at Junction City Middle School back in special education. So I am a behavior specialist in the specialized programs. So I have a self-contained classroom of kiddos who have a mental health diagnosis specifically. So I am really loving the position I am in currently and kind of have a really cool variety of backgrounds in what I've been able to do professionally, thankfully, because of the military. So some of my personal goals. So in the next 5 years, what I'm looking to do, I just started actually training at a boxing gym in Manhattan, Kansas. And so that's kind of quickly become a new love of mine. So I'm hoping within the next 5 years to continue my training for boxing and potentially enter an amateur fight if that's in the cards. My husband and I are looking to foster or adopt. We have done foster care in the past, and we are maybe looking to transition that into adoption. And kind of another lifetime goal, but I'm hoping to accomplish it sooner than later, is to compete in a triathlon. So our 10-year goal, or my 10-year goal, is that we would retire from the military, which kind of opens up a whole new world of options, and maybe make up some of the COVID travel that we didn't get to have. So COVID kind of ruined some of our plans for 10-year anniversary and lots of things like that. So maybe in the next 10 years, we'll make up some of those bigger travel plans that we had. So my kind of long-term goal in general is my husband and I have a desire to own a bed and breakfast when we retire. So that's kind of something we're always pursuing and looking into. And I did spend about 18 months living in Thailand in college. And so my goal, before my lifetime is over, to return to Thailand in some capacity. So my professional goals, In the next 5 years, I am obviously working on completing this admin license with the potential of securing an administrative position. One thing that I have set as a goal for myself professionally is to start presenting at some educational conferences. So, given my background with especially kids with autism, now working in a behavior program, doing some pretty intensive research on behavior therapy and things, I would like to start offering my knowledge at some conferences when I can get in. So looking past that, kind of in that 10-year plan, I still would like to be holding some sort of administrative position, but I would like to take some of what I'm doing with maybe conferences and looking at kind of what I offer professionally is I have some colleagues and I that have a dream of developing curriculum for low performing high school students. So something that we have found as special educators is that kids in high school who are performing at an elementary level, so juniors, seniors, sophomores, 15, 16, 17-year-olds learning third grade stuff, don't have um, socially relevant materials. A lot of the lower elementary materials have very kid-like graphics, very kid-like word problems. It's about going to the park and petting your dogs. And while this is really great, we do have some high schoolers with higher social kind of skills or social intellect who don't want baby work. So one of my professional goals with some of my colleagues is to work on developing a curriculum that is for high school students who are low performing. That would be more age appropriate for them. And then I would like to continue developing this idea of professional development, of conferences, maybe come up with something kind of presentable in terms of behavior intervention, get my name out there and kind of be maybe a who's who in the world of educators. So beyond 10 years, I am probably en route to obtain my doctorate at some point. I would like to maybe eventually leave the classroom in favor of that professional development piece. So I do think my long-term career goal is to branch off onto something personal that I feel like I can be shared with multiple educators in multiple states, something that I kind of brand as my own. And with that, potentially would maybe be publishing a book. So lots of what ifs and lots of futuristic things, but that would be kind of a fun goal of mine. So I chose Fort Hayes because of majority of it was because of the online availability. I was looking for a program that I could complete, exclusively online. It does have a very competitive price point to the programs I had looked at, and several of the colleagues that I work with in the Geary County School District have gone through this program. There were instructors at Fort Hayes that were working in my district, and so it kind of fell into place at that point. The expectations that I have had for this program are high professor-student interaction. I know when you get an online program, it can be hard to have that, but one of my expectations of the program was that I could have that connection and relationship and mentorship with professors. I was looking for current and relevant reading and information. So I had looked into some programs where some of the samples were just very outdated information, and I think this is a new kind of level of learning and new level of education, and I wanted the most current information I could have. I wanted access to professional resources. I wanted coursework and professors that would provide me with tools for my toolbox from here on forward. And obviously that guidance and support, looking at, having professors tell me what my strengths and weaknesses are, helping me utilize them in my learning in the class, and then potentially helping me utilize that to secure a position in administration when I'm done. So that's my introduction. I hope you enjoy reviewing my ePortfolio.